Okay, I'd like to tell you a story of one of my young rangers. He was unfortunate in getting a rhino horn through the leg. His name is Richard Peake, and he was a young game ranger, and I was teaching him what I can do about darting rhinos, much as Rupert Fothergill had done for me a few years previously. I did for Richard Peake on this particular occasion. And what we normally did with the rhinos, what normally happened with the rhinos, is you'd be in the bush, deep in the bush, and you dart a rhino, you get the needle into the rhino, and the rhino would then run off, and you pick up the tracks and you follow it until you find the rhino lying down asleep, knocked out with the narcotics. And what we would do then is we would then send somebody back by Land Rover or by running back to the camp where we got the whole gang. We had 20 or 30 boys back in camp. These were the laborers that we had to have for doing all the necessary hard work. And they would come out with a lorry driver. They'd be guided out to where the rhino had gone down. And we then had a sleigh made of mapani poles and with a plate on the top of it made of wooden planks with holes in it. And we would then take that off the lorry and put it down next to where the rhino is lying asleep. We roll the rhino over on top of the table, which is on top of the sleigh, and put ropes all the way around it, tie its feet together so that it couldn't move. And then we had roller bars at the back, which hooked into the tailgate, steel rollers, hooked into the tailgate of the vehicle at the back. And then we pulled the rope and we pulled the sleigh with the rhino on it onto the back of the lorry. And then we tied the whole caboodle back onto the lorry. The sleigh, the rhinos, everything was then tied onto the lorry. Everybody then got back onto the lorry and we all went back to camp. When we got back to camp, we had big slotted pole gates with slots on the ground, into the ground, and on the top, about 7 feet above the ground. And we would then reverse the process. We would release the rollers into the pen, and then the sleigh would be let down into the pen. The rhino would be untied. The rhino would be untied off the sleigh and rolled off onto the ground in the pen, and then the driver would drive the lorry away and just pull the sleigh out at the back. We put poles in between the slots to close the entrance, and then we had to get inside and give the rhino inside, which is now lying still asleep, hopefully, on its side, inside the pen. And you then just go up to it, give it an injection of the antidote, and after about 5 or 10 minutes, the rhino would wake up, and then it would get onto its feet. And then you've got your rhino. Only when it was on its feet and secure inside the pen did we consider that the hunt was finished. So what happened on this occasion, I was teaching young Richard what to do with all these things, and I got him to get into the pen. I was with him in the pen to begin with, and I mixed the narcotics, the antidote, and I said, right, now you can give him this when you think it's right. But we had to, first of all, untie the rhino's legs so that when it became awake, it was able to stand up without us having any other further problems. So both the front legs together and the back legs, we released the ropes, we threw it over the top of the pen, and then the guy who had given the rhino the antidote injection, he then climbed up the walls and got out of the pen. And then everybody sat around and waited until the rhino got onto its feet. And then we normally were only happy after it had gone and had a drink of water. We had tubs in the ground with water in, and we used to feed them in the pens like that. So we hung around for a bit until the rhino was on its feet and it was drinking, or it had started to eat or something, till we were happy it was compos mentis. And everything doesn't always happen according to plan. And on this particular occasion, I climbed out of the pen and I left Richard down there. I said, right, now when you're ready, you can give it an injection into the buttocks. Just stab it in. He had been with me many times. He'd seen me do it to other rhinos. I said, now it's your day to give it the antidote, which he did do. And I said, then you get out of the pen, you climb up the sides and you get out of the pen. Well, the rhino woke up too early. And when it woke up, it got up onto its feet and it saw Richard in the pen in front of it. And it charged at him and pinned him up against the mopani poles. Now, the mopani poles were like big gum poles that they use for fencing. And they were 7 feet tall, so the rhino couldn't climb over the top. And it was difficult for us to get out over the top as well. It wasn't an easy extraction. And this rhino got hold of Richard and pushed him up against the side of the pen, and it pushed a horn through the front of his one shin, and it came out the calf at the back. And it then pushed him up the wall like that. And at the top of the wall on the other side, one of my other rangers was there. He was a more experienced ranger called Graham Hall. And I said to Graham, grab him, he's going to fall back into the pen, because he was tottering then. And the rhino still had his horn through his leg. So Graham grabbed him and pulled him over the top of the pen and dropped him down the outside. We then had to take him to Mount Darwin, where he got treatment from a doctor. But that was come and go, and it could all have gone very badly wrong if Richard had fallen back into the pen, because then the rhino would have been able to sort him out as it wanted to. But fortunately, just by chance, Graham Hall was sitting on the top of the pen there, getting the gum from the mopani poles onto his pants, because he was sitting on top of the stuff. And but he had the presence of mind to grab him and to pull him out and to drop him down the other side.